Hello. Hello. Good day. Today we are going to talk about the last two topics of our coverage in your midterm period. But first, let's talk about the political self. Let me just make the presentation bigger. All right. So the political self. What comes to mind when you hear the word politics? Often it is associated with the terms corrupt, minsan associated siya sa mga uh, politicians na ayaw natin. And tendency is we do not get so much interested when it comes to this sphere. Okay. So to begin our discussion with this political self, let us read what the learning outcomes of this lecture will be. Number one, we shall describe the nature, functions, and origins of the political self. Number two, we shall discuss the role of family, school, church, peer groups, and media in the development of political self. And then third, we shall determine the importance of social interaction in developing the political self. And then finally, we shall identify and describe the theoretical perspectives in the development of the political self. Okay, sabi ni Jose Rizal, it is a useless life that is not consecrated to a great ideal. It is like a stone in the field without becoming a part of any edifice. First question, ano ba itong sinasabi nating great ideal? Okay, because everything becomes useless, our life becomes useless if we do not consecrate our actions, our very lives into this ideal. Isang mahalagang bagay na kung saan dapat natin ikino-consecrate ang ating mga gawain, ang ating mga buhay, sapagkat kung hindi, walang kwenta yung buhay na ito. Ito ay kahalintulad ng sinabi ni Socrates na an unexamined life is not worth living. And so you ask yourself, what is this great ideal? Sa larangan ng buhay ng tao, ano ba sa palagay nyo itong napakahalagang bagay na dapat kinocommit natin ang ating buhay, kinocommit natin ang ating mga actions patungo sa isang mas malaking bagay na higit pa sa ating buhay? It is like a stone on the field without becoming a part of any edifice. As individuals, if we do not take part into a collective act towards this great ideal, then it becomes useless. Walang kwenta yung ating buhay kung hindi tayo nakikipag-participate sa isang larangan na mas mahalaga pa sa buhay ng tao. Ano nga ba itong great ideal na sinasabi rito? Sabi ni Aristotle, man is a political animal. Hindi man is an animal. No? Man is a political animal. We are not just mere animals. We are political animals because we are capable of interacting with other people. We are capable of making decisions. Our actions are based on sound judgments, are supposed to be based on sound judgments. Before we do a certain task, it should be based on something we believed in, because it is always dangerous to act on something without you understanding it. Animals, the beasts, the brutes do not think. They do not need to consult other animals if they will do something in their environment. O wala silang mga batas na nagsasabi na pagka ikaw ay reproduce, kailangan mong pumasok sa isang kwarto, etc., etc. Okay? Pero iba ang tao. Okay? Sa hierarchy of beings, ang tao ang nasa itaas. We are sentient beings, we're capable of thinking, and therefore we are supposed to make sound decisions and judgments in life. Okay. Ano nga ba ang politics? Politics is the art and science of governance. Isa itong sining at agham ng pamamahala. Isa siyang sining sapagkat there is beauty in governance. For you to govern, it should be a product of something that awakens the feeling of delight. Yan naman ang ibig sabihin ng beauty. Beauty is something that awakens the feeling of delight. And when you govern, dapat natutuwa ang mga tao at dapat nakikinabang ang mga tao. It is a science because there's method that you have to do. Hindi ito bara-bara, hindi ito chapsuy. Dapat science-based. Dapat merong proseso sapagkat pagka define natin ang science, sinasabi natin, uh, it is a systematized body of knowledge. It is a body of knowledge, but not only a body of knowledge, but it is systematized. Merong sistema. Okay. Second definition, it is a process by which groups of people make decisions. Therefore, when we speak about politics, not only should we think about the negative terms associated with it, like corruption, like a graft, like politicians, because sabi nga ni Aristotle, we are political animals. All of us are politicians. Why? Because all of us are capable of making decisions. Therefore, politics does not only exist in governance, it exists everywhere where people make decisions. In your class, there are people gathered who are capable of making decisions. In your household, nandun si daddy, nandun si mommy, nandun yung mga kapatid. All of you are capable of making decisions. Here in school, there are people who are capable of making decisions. Sa simbahan, merong mga taong kayang gumawa ng making decisions. In short, there's politics everywhere. Okay? May politika sa mag-asawa, sa magnobyo, magnobya. Diba, pagkalalabas ng magnobyo, nobya, gagawa ng desisyon. Ikaw mamimili kung anong panunuorin sa sinihan. Ako ang iisip kung saan tayo kakain. And so you see, whenever you make decisions, there is already politics involved. Okay. So politics is the art and science of governance and the process by which groups of people make decisions. Now, the political community where people belong offers an opportunity for them to define themselves and provide opportunities to satisfy their needs of affiliation. And so you see, take note of this. Bawat individual, meron tayong uh, needs of affiliation at ito ay kailangan nating isatisfy. Diba, pagka ikaw ay pumapasok sa school, you have your group of friends, you join different organizations. Like, if you're good at singing, you join Coro Robisiano, you join Jammers. If you're good at acting, you join this group, etc., etc. Because there's a need that needs to be satisfied. But in a political sphere, in public sphere, hindi lamang ito tumutukoy sa hobbies, hindi lamang ito tumutukoy sa mga kagustuhan natin, pero ito ay maaaring tumukoy sa ideals, sa mga principles na kinabibilangan natin. And because we have our own morals, we have our own principles, we look into these other groups where we can identify these morals of ours with. Okay? And that is a need to be satisfied, a need of affiliation. Meron dyan yung Rotary Club, meron dyan yung JCI, nandito yung iba't ibang NGOs, etc., etc. Okay? And so this is our participation in the public sphere whenever we join these different organizations. Siyempre, sasama lamang tayo sa mga organizations na kung saan aligned ang ating values, di ba? Now, ano naman itong political self and identity? The political self helps in defining the structure and functions of the government, in telling and understanding the relationship between the state and the citizens, and in describing their rights, freedom, and obligation as citizens, whether you like it or not. Okay? We are already involved in the political public sphere. Okay? And because of this, we have to be able to understand our relationship with the state, with the government, because it is the state, it is the government that describes our rights, that gives our freedom, and tells us our obligations as citizens. Meron isang mahalagang libro na naka-enumerate kung ano ang ating mga karapatan, kung ano ang ibig sabihin ng ating kalayaan, at kung ano ang mga dapat nating gawin. Okay? Citizenship becomes a salient basis for political self. You become a citizen because at first maybe you've not chosen to become a Filipino citizen. You are a Filipino citizen by default because you're born in the Philippines of Filipino parents. But that can change. Okay? You may be a natural born Filipino or you may be born in the Philippines of Filipino parents, but once you elect another citizenship, you're free to do that. Why? Because if you believe that you cannot align uh, your values, your beliefs, your principles with what's enshrined in the Philippine Constitution, then you may elect another citizenship, siguro American citizenship, di ba? Or sa ibang bansa. O by default, pagka ikaw pinanganak dito, you are a citizen of this country. But that does not mean that you may not change it. What I'm saying here is your citizenship is very important in defining your political self because you will have to align your principles with what's written or enshrined in the Constitution. If you believe in the Constitution of the Philippines, then you are a Filipino citizen. But if you no longer believe in the fundamental principles and the policies of the state, then pwede kang pumunta ng ibang bansa. At siguro doon, makita mo ang political self mo aligned sa pamamahala at politika ng ibang bansa. So what's the difference between citizenship and nationality? Pagka sinabi nating citizenship, ito yung pinili mo. Pagka sinabi mong nationality, ito yung kung saan ka ipinanganak. Okay? Maaari kasing Filipino citizen ka, Filipino ang nationality mo, pero ang citizenship mo, American. Ito yung pinili mo eh. You're free to choose it. To choose it. Samantala your nationality, yun na yun. Kung anong kulay mo, ano ang kultura mo, ano ang wika mo, okay? Ano ang mga ninuno mo, that's referring to your nationality. So it is possible that when you're asked of your nationality, you go back to your roots. But when you're asked of your citizenship, ito yung political alliance mo. Okay? Next, as individuals meet new people and join new groups, the political self is influenced and modified by the opinions, comments, and suggestions of other people. I think this is self-explanatory. As we mature, diba, we would hear other groups saying or commenting things like we should be Republicans or we should be Democrats or we should be independents or we should be Dilawan or we should be DDS, etc., etc. Nagbabago-bago ito. Okay? Depende sa kung saan mo ulit ma-align ang iyong principles. Paano nga ba ito nahuhubog? Ito yung tinatawag nating origins of political self. Maraming factors. Nagsisimula ito sa family, and then syempre sa school, And then sa simbahan, syempre meron din at yung peer factor, yung ating mga nakapalibot sa ating mga tao. But what's important is that these are formed when there is an authority, a figure of authority. Authority is necessary in the development of the political self and identity, and this begins in the family. Ang authority figures dito, nandito si tatay, nandito si nanay. And since you look up to these people, sa kanila nagmumula kung ano yung dapat nating paniwalaan. Doon nauhulma ang ating mga prinsipyo. Doon nabubuo ang ating mga paniniwala patungkol sa iba't ibang kaganapan sa labas ng bahay. Ito, malakas ito pagdating sa mga probinsya. Kung sinong sinabi iboboto ni tatay o ng lolo, yun ay iboboto ng buong pamilya. Halimbawa, barangay elections, kung sinong kaibigan ni tatay, kung sinong kaibigan ni lolo, ni lola, nandoon lahat ng buong pamilya. You do not even need to dissect, no, the platforms of these politicians. Sa mga probinsya, kung anong dinikta, di ba, ng patriarch ng pamilya, yun na yun. Yun yung authority. Sabi nga ni Aristotle considers the state as a natural union of families established for the common good under a definite government. Okay? E paano naman ang educational institutions? Well, sa ating saligang batas, all higher educational institutions are mandated to inculcate among the youth the values of patriotism and nationalism. Hence, we have the subjects Rizal, we have the subject politics, governance, and Philippine Constitution, which are supposed to inculcate the value of patriotism and nationalism among the youth. And the church, of course, ano ang silbi ng simbahan? It emphasizes moral behavior that shape the ideals of citizenship, respect, loyalty, reverence, etc., etc. Okay, now these are the theories for our last slide of political self. Meron tayo tinatawag na social learning theory. A person can acquire learning through observation and imitation. At ang tawag dito ay political socialization, the process of observation and imitation. Now, halimbawa, kung sino yung mga namumuno sa atin, di ba? When we acquire knowledge, new forms of knowledge from the policies decreed by the executive, or when we learn laws written by the legislative department and approved by the executive department, when we listen to the decisions of the judiciary. Okay. Ito yung mga new forms of knowledge na ating natututunan. But you have to be involved. You have to be involved. Cognitive theory suggests that the mental activities of individuals are important determinants of behavior. Okay, and then we have the symbolic interaction theory. Behaviors are products of communication, meaning, and symbols. The president now and the supporters, I'm sure you've heard of the uh, issue nung birthday ng ating Pangulo, yung pag-akma niya ng pag-rap sa private part ng kanyang house help. Some supporters of the president defend him by saying that it's a joke for Mindanaoans and Visayans. Anong ibig sabihin nito? These are symbolic. No? Does it mean that for Mindanaoans and Visayans, those acts, those behaviors should become acceptable because they are meant as a joke? So it is always important that citizens participate in all the activities in the polis, in the affairs of the city, because whatever is happening in the political sphere, these are because the citizens allow it to happen. Pinapayagan kasi ng mamamayan na mangyari ang ganitong mga kaganapan, kaya ito paulit-ulit na nangyayari. Subalit, kung magpakita ang mga mamamayan ng kanilang galit o pag-disagree sa mga bagay-bagay na nangyayari, this will eventually, these practices that we're observing now, will eventually be eradicated. Kung gusto nating ibalik ang sinasabi nilang mas disente na pamumuno, kailangang may gawin ang mga observers. Okay. Kung naniniwala ka naman na ito ang tamang pamamalakad, then you still have to participate. Show your support. But at the end of the day, at the end of the day, in a political sphere, sinasabi ni Jose Rizal, babalikan natin, it is a useless life that is not consecrated to a great ideal. At the end of the day, what do you think is this great ideal? Kailangan mong mamili. You cannot afford to stay indifferent because it is like a stone on the field without becoming part of an edifice. You are useless if you stay indifferent, if you do not take part in this political space. You are taking the side of the oppressor. Okay, that's it for our lecture on the political self. If you have questions, you can always email me, or you can just post your questions via our streamline, and I'll try my best to answer them pagkabasa ko. I hope everyone is okay and stay healthy, and God bless you always.